Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Versus series where I compare and contrast two similar pieces of media and see which one is better. Today, I'm comparing Romancing the Stone and The Jewel of the Nile, two romantic comedy adventure films about retrieving rare and valuable gems. Crazy hijinks ensue and our two leads fall in love. Yeah, it sounds stupid, but the first film was a success at the box office, earning $115 million and helped launch the career of Robert Zemeckis. Yes, that Robert Zemeckis, the guy that made the Back to the Future trilogy, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Forrest Gump. He made a few films before Romancing, like I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars. He also co-wrote 1941. These films, excluding 1944, were critical but not commercial successes, which gave him a reputation of only making box office bombs. However, after he directed Romancing, he was quickly seen as a big deal, and suddenly, everyone wanted him. Of course, we're not used to him making movie failures, but back then, him making a successful movie after two bombs was unprecedented. And then, the second film released. So for this episode, I'm going to compare this strange movie duology and see which one comes out on top as the better movie. For some reason, I wrote this strange twice in the script. I don't know why I did this, but as I'm just starting script writing, I think I should probably expect that to happen. I think anyone should. Anyway, first, there's the story. The first film follows Joan Wilder, a single writer who writes romantic adventure novels. Her sister is currently in Colombia, searching for a map to a mysterious stone. However, she's kidnapped by smugglers who demand the map from her. However, her husband, who was eventually murdered, sent it to Joan. The smugglers use this as Elaine's ransom. So Joan goes to Colombia, but when she gets there, she gets on the wrong bus and ends up in the jungle. It's there that she meets Jack Colton, a bird hunter. He agrees to take her to the capital as long as he's getting paid. However, the two begin to fall in love and eventually realize that they're closer to the stone than they thought. No, it's not in their hearts, but I just said that because I'm stupid. The second film follows Jack and Joan 6 months after the first film, and their relationship is falling apart. Suddenly, she is invited to go with an Arab ruler named Omar, who's apparently a big fan of Joan's, and wants her to come with him to, I don't know, Egypt, I guess? I mean, it has Nile in the title. Anyways, John quickly finds out that Omar is a brutal dictator who has captured the Jewel of the Nile, a man who wants to liberate the country they're in, wherever they are. Jack teams up with Ralph, one of the antagonists from the first film, in order to save Joan and the Jewel guy. Both of these movies focus on two things: retrieving some rare artifact and romance. Both movies do them very well, but I have to pick the first film over the second in this regard. Why? Because the second film has one of the worst romantic comedy cliches I've ever seen. A couple bickering and arguing throughout the entire film, but eventually getting back together because every rom-com in existence relies on the idea that people haven't seen a film before. Of course, regular romance films are a bit different, where some of them have the romance go in different directions. Most of the time, they just have the lovers die. One of the lovers die at the end of the film, or two if you're lucky. However, some of them do have a little bit of difference. Sometimes a couple don't get together by the end. For example, the movie Once has the couple not get together as they already have lovers that they rekindle with by the end of the film. So for that reason, I have to give this point to Romancing the Stone. Next up, there's the characters. The main couple in both movies are Joan Wilder and Jack Colton, played respectively by Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas. I'm starting to say that word after the Ice Age episode? I think so, probably. Joan is reclusive and lonely, while Jack is adventurous and outgoing. These two characters are meant for each other. Can't tell, but I'm being sarcastic. I mean, you probably could tell, but I don't care. These two characters are serviceable, but forgettable. However, you know who aren't that? Who isn't that? Who aren't that? The side characters, yeah. First, there's Ralph, played by Danny DeVito. Him, Douglas, and Turner would return together in The War of the Roses, a film many call one of the greatest black comedies ever made, or dark comedies. Ralph is very enjoyable and is my favorite character in both movies. Zolo is really menacing and enjoyable, and so is Omar. Very good villains. The Jewel is a lot of fun. Ira's a ton of fun. These side characters are really enjoyable. But if I had to pick a movie in this regard, I would pick the second. Even though Jack and Joan act like they're War of the Roses themselves in this, the side just, not murderous. The side characters are really enjoyable and elevate this film further than just bad sequel. That's a point 2, Jewel of the Nile, and this is what they look, by the way. After that, it's the action. Both of these movies are also action-adventure films, along with romantic comedy. The action itself isn't the best parts of both these movies. Compared to the other films at the time, it seemed quaint in comparison. However, it isn't necessarily bad action, far from it actually. The action scenes in both movies are very fun and exciting. But if I had to pick a film in this regard, I'd pick the second film again. The first film's action scenes are fine but forgettable. There's a cool scene involving a bridge, but mainly just fighting and car chases, and not the interesting kind. However, the second film's action scenes are off the wall insane. There's an action scene on a train, in a helicopter that's shooting up the place, on a cliff, on a stage with the characters hanging off of wires, and the stage bursting into flames. It's just a massive spectacle. And so because of that, this point goes to Jewel of the Nile. Now it's time for music. The music of these films was done by different people. The first film was composed by Alan Silvestri. Before composing Avengers Endgame, Back to the Future, and Forrest Gump, he composed this. I think during the 80s he had these cool techno synth compositions that just really add to the film, My favorite composition of his is On the Run from Outrageous Fortune. The second film was composed by Jack Nietzsche, whose second name is one letter away from Friedrich Nietzsche's second name. He composed The Exorcist, apparently, which I haven't seen because I'm too young, but I have heard the opening theme, so I guess that counts for something, right? Anyways, the music in this film isn't very good. It's, how do I put it? The sign of a not good soundtrack is when there aren't any memorable tracks in them. And tracks you do remember from bad soundtracks make you want to rip your ears out, put them in a blender, eat them, and then crap them out over a bridge. Which one? Any of them. And yes, I got that joke from Hello Boss. Point is, this point goes to Romancing the Stone. Finally, there's the romance itself. As I've said before, romance movies are my thing, especially romantic comedies. I just can't stand them. With that said, the romance in the first film is fine. It's passable. There are still the usual tropes you come to expect with a film like this. The arguing and bickering at the start, the unneeded sex scene. I don't know how cheap the second one is. They have the exact same scene of the two of them in bed naked. I would show you, but I actually want to keep this channel. Also, I love how Disney rated Jewel lower than romancing, despite Jewel having actual female nudity and the use of the F word. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, that's right. The third act breakup, they're getting back together again, etc., etc., etc. However, in the first film, like I said, it's fine. It's a typical romance. It's nothing to write home about. Jewel, however, does not get a free pass. No free passes whatsoever. Jack and Joan's bickering in this goes from annoying to insufferable. It drags down the film by a landslide, and that is the main reason why I give this final point to Romancing the Stone, which means that the first film wins. What a shocker! The sequel is worse than the original? Who would have thought? In conclusion, both of these movies are perfectly fine, but Romancing is definitely further ahead than the stupid sequel. In terms of scores, I would give the first film a 7.5 out of 10, and the second film a 6.5 out of 10. I would watch the first film sooner, but the second film isn't bad. It's just forgettable. I guess this is what happens when you get the guy who directed Cujo to make your PG-rated romantic comedy film. Sure, that film's good, but again, not old enough. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Versus series. Make sure you like and subscribe, and goodbye. I'm going to probably anger some people with this placement.